Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. We're going to take a look at college football action, Pac-12 action. We're going to look at Oregon at Arizona, and this is going to be Bryan Leonard's free pick. You know, Oregon, what can you say about Oregon? You know, they had their loss against Stanford, come right back, bounce back. Didn't get to cover last week, but again, you know, put up points, 44 points. They're playing an Arizona team that I got to say, you know, Brian, me and you are pretty similar a lot sometimes with situational plays. Do you think last week's game against Washington State was a case of Arizona looking ahead to Oregon here, or they got problems?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not a big Arizona fan. I mean, they come to UNLV and crush the Rebels, but other than that, I've never really bought into them. Coming into the season, there's a lot of people that thought Arizona was going to be pretty good. I never really bought into them. But you mentioned the Oregon situation, and you know, when your goal coming into the season is to win the national championship, to get to that national championship. When that team loses, it really hurts more than it does for some other team.
Right.
And they got the win last week. They didn't get the cover, but that's something in the back of their mind is we were right there. We were right there in the past. We were right there again.
2 years in a row to have the same thing happen, you know, and that's, you know, like I call it the dream crusher game for sure. And, you know, give them credit. They got the win, which they're supposed to, but they didn't get the cover. You know, and it's a situation. I didn't use the game last week, but it was you bet against Oregon or you don't bet the game, in my opinion. I left that game alone.
I will tell you this, though, Marco, that Oregon, I know it's crazy, but they are not dead yet. Stanford losing to USC, already they're set up to be in the Pac-12 championship game. Missouri, to me, can knock off Alabama. There's no doubt in my mind Missouri's that good. They are literally a blown fourth quarter away from being undefeated and probably right there in that mix. They're definitely better than Auburn. There's no doubt, and we'll find that out. Plus, they have Franklin coming back. You also have Florida State. Right now, Jameis Winston, trust me on this, you're going to know within the next couple of days, this team, if there are charges pressed on Jameis Winston, he is done. Florida State has a policy. If there is charges, felony charges pending, they don't care if you're innocent or guilty, you are done for the year. You are suspended indefinitely. So things could shake up, and Oregon can find themselves right there. They're sitting number 6 right now, BCS, or, you know, so I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. We all look at Alabama being there. They didn't look that impressive against Mississippi State, so they better get their act together.
Which, again, the Mississippi State game that came off of their big LSU game and could have had a flat spot. But Missouri does present a big question, and the one thing is that I would say, as far as Oregon, they need Missouri to do that for them to have a shot. But what do you do with Missouri? If Missouri knocks off Alabama, you know, in the SEC championship game, doesn't Missouri deserve to be in the national title game?
Sure.
Going through the SEC and knocking off the defending national champ?
I agree.
What's Ohio State going to do?
That's
They're going to go into that undefeated.
It's Baylor too. Baylor too. Baylor's at Oklahoma State this week. That is not a gimme game, especially without Reese, their fine receiver.
If Baylor runs the table, I think Baylor deserves to be in.
Yeah, and, you know, this Saturday, obviously, that's going to be, you know, a game that everybody's going to be watching. And it seems like, you know, Baylor's had, you know, 2 of the last 3 weeks, you know, you're going to get the, you know, the test of time. I mean, because the Oklahoma game, it was at home, but now they got to go, you know, to Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State's playing good football. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's going to be a great game, and you're going to have power versus power. I mean,
I have David Hunziker, the voice of Okie State, will be on my show tonight, not only to talk about the football, but also the basketball. Marcus Smart with 39 points last night. But if they can run the ball the way they did against, and they can shorten that game against Baylor. Remember, I'm telling you, Tevin Reese is a huge part of that offense. And we saw them struggle. I was
just going to ask you, if you think of it, to ask a question, because I actually like the total in that game this week. And last week, on my betting first look, I gave the over. But I'm actually looking to the under in that game this week. Ask him how many times, what's he think the number of rushing attempts Oklahoma State's going to get off in this game? Because that's the key of the game.
Well, that would all depend on the score of the game.
Exactly.
I mean, because Baylor gets a big lead on you, it takes you out of your game.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right. Well, you know what? We've talked around this one enough. Let's make it official. Brian, this is your free play.
Instead of giving a play on the side, and Oregon, I believe, opened 18.5. It's been bet up. It's going to probably go over 21.5. I'm going to take a look at the total here. Marco talked about the dream crusher for Oregon a couple of games ago. Since that time, I mean, take a look at the last 2 games for Oregon. They've run the ball all season long. A lot of success. The last 2 games running the football, 145 and 62 yards. Now they're going against an Arizona team that does stop the run. Arizona hasn't given up more than 249 yards on the ground all season long. From Arizona's standpoint, they don't throw the ball very well, and you got an Oregon team that defends the pass very well. So I expect a lot of running out of Arizona to try to take time off the clock, and I think Oregon's going to struggle a little bit running the football. We're going to look for this game to go under the total. Third straight home game here for Arizona, and 2-0 so far for Coach Rich Rod as a home dog. But I'm not going to play the side. I'm going to look for a low-scoring game here. A lot of running on the ground here, and we're going to go for this game to go under the total. I don't think this is the same Oregon offense we saw earlier in the season.
Okay, there you have it. Bryan Leonard says to take the under in the Oregon-Arizona game. We're going to come right back here and take a look at Vanderbilt at Tennessee up next, pregame.tv.